Words like Hindi imposition, language wars are coming up in news again. This time because of CBSE's 3-language formula that has been proposed. When we talk about such curriculum changes, they are not just about linguistic abilities. They are also about federalism and identity politics. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh and in today's session we are going to understand in detail that what exactly has been proposed by CBSE in form of 3-language formula, why it is being proposed and why it has become controversial. So let us begin with understanding that what exactly has been put on the table. So CBSE as of now has revised the language formula, and this revised language formula is 3-language formula that has been put forth. Now it has been put in line with not just new education policy but also the National Curriculum Framework for School Education 2023 that was presented. Now this framework did talk about language formula, 3-language formula, but this version has been refined and revised. And specifically it is going to address secondary education, that means from class 6th to up to class 10th. The whole idea of this 3-language formula is to bring in and promote multilingualism. That means students should be able to comprehend, read, write multiple languages. At the same time, it will also help with linguistic diversity. Now, when we are talking about such a policy, the idea, intent behind usually them is that the language learning should become structured from the initial levels and across the years it would be facilitated. In this particular framework, this is not only structured but also compulsory. Now let us try to understand this 3-language formula that has been proposed. Now this has been proposed on the framework of R1, R2, R3. What is R1? R1 is going to be the first language that the student from class 6 to class 10th is going to pick up. It is going to be implemented in phases. That means if immediate it comes, there will be difficult in structuring. We will be talking about that. So the first language would be, and it can be any CBSE language. Now when we are talking about R2, it is going to be the second language and it is going to be different from R1. Now in this scenario, when we are talking about R1, this is usually the student's primary language. It is usually the student's mother tongue and this is going to be understood and studied at the most advanced level. Now then we will have R2. R2 will be different from R1 and this is going to be a language that you are basically proficient in. And then R3 will come in picture and that will be a third distinct language except for R1 and R2 which will be taught to the students, which they have to pick up from class 6th. When we are talking about R1, R2, R3, there are 3 languages which are present here, but 2 of them that will be picked up by student have to be the native Indian languages and there will be no duplication of levels that have to be taught in terms of language. And gradually the levels will progress till class 10th. Now the most important part is here that all 3 languages must be passed by the student by 10th so as to be able to appear for the class 10th boards. So in this context, while initially R1 and R2 might share textbook and syllabi, but the question papers and everything based on the difficulty levels, as you can see, they will be set differently. So for example, if a student is taking Hindi in R1, another student is taking Hindi in R2, they are different. They might be studying from the same textbook, but the question paper that will be set, the standard that will be set, that will be different for them. And it is expected that by 2031, full integration, because this is going to be implemented from the school year of 2026-27, which is going to begin now. That means a student stepping in class 6th would be choosing their third language R3 in this scenario, but full integration with board exam will be taking place by 2031. So what we are clearly getting to see here that multilingualism as of now, which was comparatively flexible, that has turned into a structured form through this very policy. In this context, you clearly get to see that Arthi will be compulsory for class 6. That means the student who is coming to class 6 has to pick up this language. The mandatory requirements have been set in place, and the whole idea behind is to make this early exposure to multilingual learning. The whole idea behind it is simple, that they want to promote multilingualism from early exposure itself. That means student will have better cognitive ability, they will have better communication skills, they will have multiple languages at their hand to use. At the same time, they are also talking about strengthening Indian languages, which will have cultural preservation aspect, which will have reduction in English dominance. And most importantly, when we are talking about the framework of 2023 and national education policy of 2020, the holistic education approach is being brought forth, which was pitched by both of these policies. And furthermore, when we see it from the lens of cultural preservation and reducing English dominance, but at the same time we see the promotion of diversity, this brings it out as an exercise of nation building where we are promoting unity in diversity. But when we are talking about such nice things that this policy is going to bring out, we also need to look on the other side of the coin, because it is not all about what is being pitched. We also need to understand that what is happening on the ground. So when we are talking about it, we clearly get to see when we talk about education, it is part of concurrent list. Now that means the legislation, lawmaking can be done by center as well and state as well. Can you tell me in the comment section, education was previously not in concurrent list, in which list it was present? Was it in union list or state list? Now if a central body such as CBSE is making policies on it, that means there is dilution of what state can do. Now this is the problem where it arises and concerns around it arise. So when we are talking about the controversiality of it, we clearly get to see that there is fear of Hindi imposition, that southern states which have already been agitated about language policies for the longest time, this seems another step in that very direction, and definitely the resistance that we see, the protests that we see are coming from this very fear itself. Apart from that, as I mentioned, it causes federalism concerns as well. When we are looking about education, it is about center versus state, and states' autonomy, states' control seems to be diluted. But at the same time, when we are talking about identity politics, federalism, we also need to look into all stakeholders, including the students, including the parents. This will lead to added academic burden, this will lead to added academic cost, and when we are talking about mandatory passing, it definitely enhances the difficulty of students, especially when we are talking about languages which might not be the mother tongue or the usual ones that are used. So the frequent languages are fine. For example, if your mother tongue is Tamil, then you are okay with it. Maybe your parents can help it. English, that is something comparatively known. But the third language that you would want to pick, it would be very difficult to comprehend and you would need help there. So a lot of difficulty would come because of this mandatory passing, that is the compulsion that has been put on you. Apart from that, this is where we also need to recognize the ground reality gap that exists in terms of infrastructure. Urban schools, some of the private school as well, might be able to accommodate the infrastructure change, be it in terms of faculties, be it in terms of textbook, sources, testing, everything can be done. But what about rural schools? What about arranging the teachers, arranging the resources, how it will be done at such a short notice when you are saying that this will be implemented for class 6 from this very year? So this seems like that this hasn't been thought through. This hasn't been structured well enough, and that is why this becomes way controversial. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.